For more on this, we are being joined by Professor David Dunn. He is a professor of international politics in the Department of Political Science, University of Birmingham. Now, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Good morning.
Now, I would like to begin by asking you, talks are scheduled for Cairo. U.S. officials do say there has been slight progress. And now we heard President Joe Biden say so as well. Now, how optimistic are you regarding the talks, and where do you think the talks are headed?
Well, it's very difficult to tell because we have been here before. So often these talks seem to have been on the point of getting an agreement. But there are hopeful signs here. The very fact that Iran has not retaliated to the Israeli strikes in Tehran is an indication of their willingness to actually put their turn for retaliation into the negotiations, and indeed the risk of conflict in the region escalating hugely is now a major factor in pressuring the parties to come to an agreement on Gaza. So there's not just the future of Gaza at stake here. The alternative seems to be a wider regional war. And of course, that puts greater pressure on things to come to an agreement.
Now that you mentioned that Iran has not retaliated, do you think the talking of the peace talks there are being prolonged as a tactic to keep on postponing the Iranian retaliation, which U.S. says can happen any time?
That's one interpretation. Another interpretation is really the fear of escalation. And there are reports coming out of Lebanon that Hezbollah has really lost appetite for the fight because their position in Lebanon would be undermined because they are very unpopular there if they were to bring retaliation on Lebanon as a consequence of them attacking Israel at the behest of Iran. And Saudi Arabia has made it clear that unlike last time in 2006, when after the conflict there, Saudi Arabia paid for the reconstruction of Lebanon, Saudi Arabia has indicated if you get destroyed in a war that you bring on yourself, we're not paying for your country to be rebuilt. And Lebanon is in a really dire state economically, and the last thing they need is massive war destruction with no one else giving them aid to help recover from it. So there's pressures all around the region pointing in the direction of actually trying to avoid escalation. And of course, the Americans have flooded the area with more warplanes and indicated, as you said, that they would support Israel. And therefore, the prospect of a real bigger conflict is very real.
Now, U.S. has been supporting Israel, and they've been giving billions of dollars and realigning its warships as well. What kind of strategy is U.S. using here, considering that they're on the both sides, on the diplomatic as well as in the supporting Israel?
So first and foremost, what this is an attempt to try and deter Iran from escalating the conflict. It's a clear indication that America is in a position to intercept any attack that Iran could launch against Israel, but also that actually America will be prepared to join Israel in retaliation against Iran and Lebanon if there's a big attack mounted against Iran. And the Iran, again, the regime is not very popular at home, and they fear that actually a devastating American and Israeli attack on Iran would actually be potentially undermining of the regime because of the unpopularity that would be seen as in Iran.
Now, Israel is also continuing its operations in Gaza. Are these attacks now more about punishing Gaza than strategic actions that they were taking to eliminate Hamas, especially after the death of Ismail Haniyeh?
So the American military have said that Israel has achieved all its military objectives in Gaza. What they are saying is it's time to stop, and there's huge American and other pressure on Israel to actually cease these operations. But Israel has hugely impressive intelligence assets, and where they do find evidence of the existence of Hamas fighters, they're very keen still to strike them, even though that is seen with something which the Americans are keen to get them to stop. But this will only really stop finally once there is a comprehensive agreement, but hopefully we're on the verge of that now.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Dunn, for joining us and giving your insights.